I got like 2.5 hours of sleep last night.
Literally the worst day I've run so far.
I really feel like getting changed. So I just put my sweatpants and my shoes on, and I'm gonna go run in my sweater and my tie. Like a boss. Like a teacher. Like really like a weirdo, but how red my face is. I feel like my face is gonna fall off in the pouring rain.
I've been overthinking this video for a while, so I'm just gonna shoot it, put it out there, and I hope it blesses somebody in the way that's supposed to bless them. And if nothing else, it is a way for me to look back on this sort of, what is to me, a pretty monumental feat. Starting December 10th last year, I started running every single day for a year. That was the goal. So I started that night on December 10th, and December 10th here in New Jersey, Philadelphia area where I live is a pretty cold and pretty dismal. I mean, you can see outside, it's like pretty gray time of year. The motivation to do it was there on the front end, but that quickly waned like anybody else's New Year's resolution that comes about. Like you think you want to really do it, and then a few days in, you're just like, this kind of sucks a lot more than I thought it would. But what I found was that I had this profound sort of growth, and I'm going to go into that in just a moment. But to be clear, it was minimum of a mile a day, which is often what I did. Initially, I thought like a mile is not that hard. Like I've been running since I was 33, but I'm not a particularly athletic dude. Like I played right field for a lot of my life, and that's with my dad as the coach. So like you think you'd get a little hookup in there, but you don't. I don't play sports. I haven't played a sport since I was 12. That was the year the coaches started yelling at us, and I thought this isn't like fun if someone's yelling at me to go faster or to do whatever. Like maybe I would have played sports longer if people were nicer, but they weren't. I didn't run or bike or do anything particularly athletic until my 30s, and my wife started doing a running program called Couch to 5K. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I started doing it, and it was this really sort of minimalistic running opportunity where you play the app on your phone, you're listening to music, and it tells you run for 30 seconds, now walk for a minute, now run for this amount of time and walk for this amount of time. And over a period of 60, however many days it was, you can run a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And I ended that year by running a 5K on the 4th of July in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And that was really exciting because like I literally couldn't even run a mile when I started. If I ran a mile, it better be because my life depended on it, and then I was gonna just die at the end of that mile anyway. So I built that up over time, but the idea of running every day, especially at 42, was a little bit daunting. Like I didn't know like what kind of damage that could do to my body. I wasn't sure if I could get hurt. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea. My primary physician told me that it was a terrible idea, that I shouldn't run that much because the max was 5 miles a day. And that would depend on who I was running with, where I was running, was I feeling it, what time of day it was. But you know, when you have days when it gets really late at night, like I've had, during this challenge, I've had days when it was 11 o'clock at night and I either almost forgot to run, or that's when I got home from work, or that's the only time I had. And so it was like, got to go out and get that mile. That's a long day. To fit that in is sometimes really difficult. If you're stuck in the airport, it's difficult.
Day 98 in the Miami International Airport because I couldn't get a run in this morning. So just running back and forth till we hit our miles. Yes. That's it. Day number 98 with Donovan in the airport. That was awesome. I'm 2 more days until 100. Here we go.
But one of my greatest lessons in learning this was that I have the time. Like if I allocate the time, if I make it that important, there's always the time. The other part of the challenge was I thought it would be harder if I had to go outside. The only way I was allowed to go to the gym, and this started like maybe 2 months after I started running, the only reason I was allowed to go to the gym is if there was like a significant amount of snow or if there was ice, because I've fallen on ice before and it sucks and I really hurt my back and my neck. So I try not to go running in those situations. But anything else, I had to run outside. That was part of the challenge. And so the reason I even got into this, let's talk about that for a second. I read a book last year called You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And part of what he's talking about in the book is when life is really hard, when you feel like you were at your limit, like you can't go any further, like you've done everything that you can do, and you've given everything that you've given, most people are only at about 40% when they get to that place, that you have actually not even hit the middle way mark of what you're capable of doing. That was fascinating for me because it gave me this opportunity to like really look at what I was doing, really look at what life was handing me. And instead of going, there's the beast again, instead of being on defense and fighting against this stuff, it's like going on offense and saying to life in so many words, like, no, you can't have my joy. You can't have my happiness. You will not challenge me more than I will challenge myself. And so that was part of where this came from, was like, no, I'm going to shift a number of things in my life. And one of those is going to be that no matter what, I'm going to go out and run every single day. And I'll say that like, there were days when I didn't want to do it. There were days when I felt completely depleted and I still did it anyway. So I had to write some of those days down, and I have the clips here to show what that looked like as well. Like the day that I had to run at 11 o'clock at night and I almost forgot to run, but I did it anyway.
Holy cow, getting it in there. 11 o'clock at night, finishing up my miles.
Or the day that I went running in a lightning storm with my son, which I realized is a poor decision, and it didn't look like that much lightning, and it looked like it was really far away, but then the storm got closer.
We just ran in the pouring rain.
Yep, we saw multiple lightning bolts, but we made it.
Not maybe my best idea ever, but good work, bro.
Thanks, man.
Time for jumping jacks now?
No.
Oh.
I'm not gonna explain myself, but it was not a good decision. I don't think that anybody else should do that, and well, let's move on. Like the day when Marley got hurt on the beach and got stitches in her toe, and we were in the hospital and I had to run anyway.
Went to the beach today with the family, and then we ended up in the hospital with Marley. Because the big giant sign that said, don't play on the jetty.
Or on my kids' birthdays, or on my birthday, or on my wife's birthday, or on any other day that there was a birthday. Or the day that it was really late at night and we were coming home from the shore. I forgot that I didn't get my run in earlier in the day. I also didn't think we'd be at the beach that long. And so I left the kids on the boardwalk with my wife. They got ice cream and I ran to the car in my regular shorts, regular clothes, and with Chucks on instead of the normal running shoes that I have on. And that's how I got to the car that night. And then I drove home all sweaty and stinky, and that sucked. Or the day that we were at my family's house and we had a whole family gathering, and then I didn't run that day. I went there in my school clothes. So I ran half of the way home in my school clothes to just get my mile in. But a mile in dress shoes that's not a comfortable mile. It feels like crap, and tight dress pants. Could have made better decisions in my dress that day, but I didn't. Or the day that I lost a student this year. I lost a student and his whole family, and you know, those are days when you feel like you could go without. So there was that day. There was the day that my grandmother passed away this year. My father-in-law also passed away suddenly last June, and I ran on all those days. And on those days, it's an easy out to not do it because you feel like, part of me felt guilty to go run and do this challenge and still make that important on a day that someone lost their life. And I'll tell you, those were the days that when I ran, what I told myself, it was like putting a fist in the air and running because somebody else couldn't. That like my father-in-law couldn't run that day, that Saeed couldn't run that day, that my grandmother couldn't have run for 20 years previous to that, but she also like had passed away. And it was like, for those people, like I put my fist in the air and it was like, I'm doing this for you today. And that's what got me out of the house. I ran when it was hailing outside.
Day 103, 104, something like that. It's hailing outside as I'm running, which is just making me run faster, but what the hell?
When I was sad, when I was depressed, and I didn't even want to get off the couch because something was going on, whether it was in my head or in my life or both. And I made myself put on my shoes and get out there anyway. And the way that I even did that on those days was a lot of times was just making myself mad. Like I would just get pissed off at the fact that this was so hard, that I didn't want to do it, that I was feeling this way again on my insides, and that I just wanted to do anything but go run. It was like putting my middle finger up and just doing it anyway. And that anger was enough to get me out the door. And once I got going, it was like the momentum built. But even some of those days, it was so miserable the whole time. I literally could feel every single footstep and I did not want to do it. But even on those days, the way I tricked myself was by, this is so dumb. I would imagine that my bottom half of my body was almost separate from my top, that my legs were actually going on a run, but that the top half of my body was just kind of going along with. I just had to weather the cold or the heat or the rain or the misery of it all. And in those moments, I just pictured myself like, yep, I'm just kind of like going on a ride and these legs are my vehicle. And that's how I got there. And you have to play a lot of those brain games to kind of get through. Like, you know, if I don't want to run, can I at least run to the end of this block? And at the end of this block, can I at least run to, like, I can see down to the park. Can I run to the park? Can I run to the lake? Can I run to that green car? And you start making these games up in your head to kind of get you a little bit further in your run. And then other days, it was just getting mad at myself. Like, no, you don't get to give up because other people don't have this opportunity, or you chose to do this and someone's counting on you, even if that someone is just yourself, and then making myself run anyway. I ran on every holiday. I ran on Thanksgiving, I ran on Christmas, I ran on Christmas Eve, I ran after having too many drinks sometimes, I ran on Easter.
Christmas Eve, day 15. Whew, all right. Day 16. Do I want to run on Christmas? Nope. Did I? Yep. Even the dog's inside on a beanbag chair right now. It's Easter Sunday.
I would run some nights when we had to go food shopping and I didn't have time to run, so I would run next to my wife in the car. I would get in my mile or two, and then I would jump in the car and go all sweaty and gross to the food store. I ran when the Eagles won a playoff position, and
last thing I want to do tonight is run. Eagles win, secure a playoff position. I'm in jeans and regular Pumas, and I still ran home from the party to get my run in. Day number 21 in 3 weeks.
That day may have included a few beers and snacks, and I was not really feeling it. Pretty much any time you eat and then run, it's a bad idea. But you should have ran before you ate, no matter how hungry you were. If we had too much stuff going on that night, I would run. Like if my daughter had basketball practice.
Day number 60, we ran to basketball practice. Now we're running home from basketball practice, right? All right, give me some sugar. Mwah! Here we go. That's it, we made it. A mile to practice, a mile home from practice.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
And an hour of basketball practice. It's been a busy day. Give me some. Yes! Let's go do burpees.
No!
I also ran all of January, which is cold. And like I said in the beginning, I tried to go to the gym, but
Planet Fitness this time of year is like a mix, right? It's like, I'm glad that everyone's in there getting after it because it's the new year and they're trying to make the new you. But I really don't like running next to people on a treadmill unless I'm running faster than them, like significantly faster. Like if you're running faster than me, I just feel like I'm trying to catch you. And literally every single treadmill was filled. Look, someone's got to give up on their New Year's dream because I can't wait for treadmills. You know, who waits for a treadmill? It's like waiting in line for something that sucks.
What were some of the benefits that I saw out of this? That's what people kept asking me all the time. Like, what did you, were you healthier? Did you feel better? What happened? I didn't feel better. Every day I would come in and my wife would say, hey, how was your run? Every day my answer was, it sucked. I hated it. Because I hated it like pretty much every day. There were days when the dog would go with me and it was really great. There were days when my kids would go with me and it was really great. But I'd say that the biggest takeaways from this are, besides the fact that like my calves are now the largest that they've ever been. Like my calf muscles are, I think they're impressive. I never had big calf muscles in my life. It's kind of impressive, kind of stoked about that. It was a couple of things. One, it was my kids being able to see their dad make a challenge for himself and then actually carry it out. And that was huge. It was having my kids want to go with me, my daughter riding her bike with me, my son running with me. That was really fun. And it was also my students at school watching me do something and then feeling motivated by it too. So I had this one student, Johan, and Johan comes up to me last year and I forget how far I was in. Maybe I was like 50 days in or something. He goes, yo, Reynolds, I see you on Instagram running every day. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm doing this challenge. I'm running every day for years. He's like, yeah, I saw that, man. I thought like, I don't always like going to basketball workouts. But I thought, you know, if your old ass could do it, I could do it too. And I thought, I think that was a compliment. I'm gonna take that as a compliment, even though I'm not so sure about the way you said that to me. I then had students that I've had years ago that were following me up, that started like working out or running. And then I had strangers that I didn't know, and I know better now, that were doing this as well, that were running along. And in fact, at the end of this, I asked everyone to kind of share a video or a post about, you know, that, and that is something that happened as well, that, you know, you got to see these people that I never met in real life that were finding inspiration in what I was doing. And that is something also we learn in life, that sometimes our ordinary is somebody else's extraordinary. And that's not something to be taken lightly, that you don't know who you're inspiring. You don't know what students are watching. You don't know if your kids are watching you. And my brother, who I don't know if he's ever actually worked out in his life, started running after this, partially because of watching my videos. Like my whole new challenge this year, my wife is doing with me. And part of that is because she was inspired by what I did. You know, I think one of those things is not just that I did like a physical experiment, but it was anything I think that we can do in front of our students and say, I'm starting a business. I am planning to have this challenge that I'm going to meet. And our students can watch us do something. It is something to be a lifelong learner in front of your students. So I'm going to read this many books this year. I'm going to lose this many pounds. I'm going to do this many pull-ups. I'm going to run this many miles. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a farm. Whatever it is that you're doing, and do that so your students can actually watch you. They can watch the process, is something that I think is of huge inspiration. I've said it before. I think that me creating my business, what started with YouTube, this whole Real Rap with Reynolds thing that I've built, is the greatest lesson I've ever showed my students in my life, because I actually lived something out. And I think that, you know, the time that I built a boat out of one piece of plywood, which is a video that I can link up here. I built a boat out of a piece of plywood because a student asked me if they thought I could do it. And I said, yeah, I could do it. So we did it. And then this year, in running every day for a year, was a great challenge as well, and something to show students that I could do it. Now look, there were physical benefits, like I can run a lot easier, I can run a lot faster. I ran the fastest mile of my life this year.
I just ran the fastest mile of my life. Feeling good, man.
Feel like I'm in better shape. I definitely did something where it was like, I didn't think at many times that I could do it. And then I would hit 20 days, and 50 days was huge. And then 100 days. Then I would hit 200 days.
Today is day number 200 and running every day for a year. I've literally never done shit in my life for 200 days in a row. And here we are, Ocean City, New Jersey, on the beach.
And I'd hit 300 days, and it was like,
I have run 300 days in a row. I just feel like incredibly grateful. Like,
damn, like I'm really gonna do this. And then you start getting nervous because you're like, am I gonna get sick? Is something bad gonna happen? Am I, what if I got hurt and I couldn't finish it? You know, I also got to a point where, like, this is a little bit narcissistic, but I ran without a shirt on. I don't do a lot of stuff without a shirt on, but I was starting to feel good enough about myself. And plus it was hot as hell outside. So it was like running with no shirt on, that was a big deal for me. And then I went on Instagram, and I didn't, you know, show my ninnies or anything, but like I ran with no shirt on, and that was a big deal for me. This year, my new challenge is, after doing that, first of all, I literally feel like I could do anything. So almost the second year of picking something was so much more difficult because I wasn't sure what to do, because I felt like I could do anything I wanted to do. Like, learn how to play piano? Yeah. Speak Spanish? Yep. Run a world's toughest mudder, like, or a marathon? Like, yep, I could do it. And so it's like, what do I want to put my time into? But it's also about creating that minimum effective dose that Tim Ferriss talks about. It's actually making your goal so minor that you really feel like you could do it. So a mile a day really felt attainable to me. Maybe that's a half mile to you, or a quarter mile, or a walk around your block every single day, no matter what. In the second year, I've decided to do what I'm calling 10-10-10, which is 10 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 10 sit-ups a day. Now, I will say, admittedly, that I am on the fifth day. Today's the 5th day. 10 pull-ups is a hell of a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Plus, I pulled the friggin' trim off of my door when I was doing it with my pull-up bar that I got, so I had to go to the park that night in my pajama pants after a couple drinks, and I was wearing slippers. But I did it. And so it's been more difficult than I thought it would be initially, but I know I can do it. And I think I'm gonna end this year, or in the summer, do the world's toughest mudder race that happens just outside of Philadelphia, try and get some friends to do it. And maybe if any of you are interested in, show up also, and we can go get muddy and climb things together. And it's an 8 to 10 mile race with obstacles in it. But I know I can get to that place physically this year. And that's something I couldn't even do in my mid-20s, let alone my now almost mid-40s. I'm 43 now, and so it's a challenge for me, but I know I can get there. I also real quick want to note that not only did I just run outside, but I didn't have any special gear with me either. At one point I had to wear a knee brace that I had to go buy, but because my knee was being wonky, I bought a little belt to put my cell phone in because I was tired of carrying my cell phone in my hand. I wore a $15 running jacket that I got at the Target sales rack that is actually multiple years old. Most of the zippers are broken and they don't go up anymore, so that was nerve-wracking. It has a big giant hole in the back of it, and it's also black, which is, come to think of it, not that good of an idea when you're running at night and it's dark outside and you look like, a skinny ninja walking down the street. I bought new shoes at one point, but it's because my other running shoes were really old. The idea here was that I didn't want to buy gear, that I didn't want to have the best stuff, that I didn't want to set myself up with all of the fanciest technology or anything. I did buy these manitards, these leotards for men that I wore under my pants last year, but that was only when it got really, really cold because they're actually not very comfortable to run in. So I did it with the minimum amount of stuff. And what that allowed me to do was get away from excuses well, I don't have enough stuff, or I don't have the right running shoes, or I don't have the right hat, or I don't have the right gloves, I don't have a mask. I didn't have anything. I would wear my daughter's scarf on my face if it was too cold, or my regular winter gloves that I got from Walmart that are gigantic and camouflage and look dumb. It was to run no matter what the excuse, no matter what I didn't have, and that was something that minimized my excuses, and that was on purpose. I really appreciate everybody that supported me, everyone that went along with me, the people that worked out all of that time, the students that followed along, my family for being supportive every single day, my wife for going along with this. There were some days when it was kind of annoying that I had to go out and run real quick before we went somewhere, or that I had to make her drive real slow and drive next to me so I could get to the food store, but I could get the run in at the same time. And I'm still running now. I think I'm gonna end at 400, at day 400, because it's a nice even number, but we'll see. I don't know. That's so close to 500, which is half of 1,000. If I can do half of 1,000, why can't I do 1,000? I don't know. I have 2 real quick asks from you. One, if you think that any of my videos are ever really deeply impactful to you, or even slightly impactful to you, share them with someone that you feel could use this message as well. And 2, if you wouldn't mind, in the comments below, I'd love to know what your challenges are for this year, or if you did something in the last year. What is something you're working on, or something that you have been working on or are working towards? I love hearing about what you all are doing too. This isn't just about me. This channel's never only been about me. It's only ever been about the people that I can serve, the people that I can help, and bringing light to some of my students and their stories. So I'd love to hear about that in the comment section below, and I'm sure everyone else watching this would be interested in that as well. So that's it, folks. That was a year, ran every single day for a year, and I'm really, really proud of myself. It was something I wasn't sure that I'd be able to do many times, but I did it, and it makes me really excited to know that we did it together. So thanks, gang. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
That's it. 365 days in a row. I am so pumped. I can't believe I did it. There's so much stuff that happened this year. I felt like that scene from Fight Club where Tyler Durden's having his ass beaten by the bar owner and then just smiles at him. What? What do you got? You can't take this. You can't take this joy. You're not allowed to have it. It is putting your middle finger up, putting your flag in the sand, and just keep going. And that's what it feels like.
Dear people, Planet Fitness, that have quit on your New Year's resolutions. Part of me is sad, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And the other part of me is really happy because it was free in there tonight and open and magical. You have to run next to anyone. They were 3 treadmills away. Been up since 5. Drove to New York, went to VaynerMedia for the day, hung out with Gary V, took all the kids home. Now I just want to sit down and have a glass of wine and play some Fortnite with the boy. Now it's time for day number 75 in the pouring rain. It's cold out here, and I look like Ninja Kenny from South Park. Running in Austin. Day 96. It's an early day running. It's a travel day. I don't want to run tonight, so try to get in early. I did not get in from work until like 7:30. I do not want to go running. I got like 2.5 hours of sleep last night. Didn't even get undressed. Literally the worst day I've run so far. It is 10 degrees outside. It's at least 0 with the wind chill factor. It was so cold. I literally can't feel my fingers or my toes right now. And my face was burning. 10 degrees, could be 0 degrees, could be -0 degrees. I guess -0 degrees wouldn't really work, would it? That's why I teach English and not math. Day 46 is about to happen. I really feel like getting changed. So I just put my sweatpants and my shoes on, and I'm gonna go run in my sweater and my tie. Like a boss, like a teacher, like a weirdo, but how red my face is. I feel like my face is gonna fall off. All right, I can't talk, my face hurts. I was out way too late last night. Sunrise coming up in Miami. I mean, this place is ridiculous. Look at this hotel. Bam. Guy's taking a shower on the beach. That's a little awkward. Important lesson learned. Don't eat raviolis for dinner and then go running. Actually, don't eat anything for dinner and then go running, because it just makes you feel like crap. It's an early one this morning. We go cryotherapy. Taking an ice bath or a cold shower, and that just seemed like torture. So this was a better option. I indulged in some French toast this evening at the diner with the boy. I'm paying the price for that now. There were tornadoes around here. I had friends that spent their night in their basement.
Oh, you're sweaty.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you run.
Yay.
I'm talking about Memorial Day.
If you, hey ladies, if you like my dad out here.
No. 177, Ben. Can you believe it? Are you impressed? Oh, all right, go lick your butt. Oh, that lady's chasing me. She's trying to get me. Get her. She's trying to get me. It's not a soul out here. You know why? Because it's cold as hell. It's pouring rain. It's supposed to snow a bunch tonight, which means it probably won't rain at all. Look how I'm soaking wet. It's windy and cold, but there's 8 days left, buddy.
I'm out doing my new daily walk. I can't run yet like real Rap With Reynolds, but I can walk every day. So here's the day 1. Exercising, walking.
I'm on the Real Rap With Reynolds bandwagon. Now he is maybe one of the first teacher accounts that I started following, and I just love him.
This message is for CJ, Real Rap With Reynolds. CJ, so proud of you, man. What a run streak, not gonna lie.
The rain finally stopped, so I came out to go for a run for CJ Reynolds. You did it, 365 days of running.
I just want to say that today I'm at LA Fitness. Yeah, there you go. And I'm running with Reynolds.
And sleet and snow and cold and depression and the really hard days, you showed up, you didn't give up, and you encouraged so many people around you. So proud of you. Love you.
That is just insane. That is super inspiring. I've been with you the whole way. I've loved watching just like your progress and, you know, watching the journey.